A very warm welcome to the new episode of Ink and Insights. This is your host, Sumit Sharma Sameer. This is a Nepal-based podcast, and if you are interested in listening to the thought leaders from around the world, please subscribe to my channel. I'm extremely pleased to welcome Dr. Manjiri Prabhu in my show today. Dr. Manjiri Prabhu holds a doctorate in communication science and is an independent filmmaker for television, a writer, novelist in English, and also the founder-director of a literary festival. She has directed over 200 children's TV programs, more than 50 short fiction and travel films, and has authored 15 books. Her thesis, converted into a book titled Roles, Real and Real, has become a rare reference book for students of Hindi cinema. Prabhu has been acknowledged as a pioneer in India among women writers of mystery fiction, and she has a diverse global fan following. She is also the first female mystery author to be published outside India, and has been labeled as the Desi Agatha Christie. And much recently, Prabhu has been acknowledged to be a match for Dan Brown by Dr. Shashi Tharoor. Her novels, The Cosmic Clues, was selected as a killer book by Independent Mystery Booksellers of America, and The Astral Alaiba was honored as a notable book in the Kiriyama Prize. Her books have been published by varied reputed publishers like Penguin, Bloomsbury, Random House USA, Zyko Books, Rupa Publications, and Times Group Books. As the founder-director of Pune International Literary Festival, Prabhu has brought Pune city on the international map of literature and arts festival. She has recently been chosen as one of 50 inspiring women of Maharashtra and has been awarded for excellence in writing by ERTC Global Herald in Mumbai. As well, been awarded the Rex Karambir Gold Medal Award. She is also an animal welfare activist promoting caring and adoption of stray dogs. It's a pleasure to have you on my show, Manjiri. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Sumit. Lovely being here.
Let me begin by asking, you are an author of more than a dozen books, a filmmaker, and a director of literature festival. How do you manage all these fields together?
Yeah, it's a good question. A question I keep asking myself, that how do I do it? I just know that there is a bigger power up there who's told me that this is your purpose in life and you need to do it and keep at it. So actually I take every day as it comes. Right. But I've known for a very long time that I'm meant to be a writer. I have a purpose in life, that's to write. And along the way, of course, I've started also my Lit Fest. So I look at my life as a creative expedition, okay, where nice. I am a writer. I travel to write my books, I research for them, I write them, I promote them. That's one life. And on the other hand, I feel I have a social responsibility to also help other writers, because I understand how difficult it is for a writer to reach out to its readers. So absolutely. I feel it's a self-appointed kind of a philanthropic activity that I'm doing with my Pune Lit Fest. So I divide my year in half as a writer for my own personal journey, and half in my own little way try to help the other writers and creators out there to connect with their with their audience. So my life is full, touch wood, and I'm happy with the way it's going. And I try to find, I know it's very difficult, because I'm also involved in dogs and I have my family and, lots of other things are happening, but I know very clearly what my focus in life is, and I plan accordingly.
Right. And when did you start writing? When did you really feel that there's a writer in you?
Like I said, I was 7. I was a total bookworm. I used to read like crazy as a kid, and I think almost all of us have grown up reading Enid Blyton. So for me, Enid Blyton, like she used to write those mystery stories and all that. And while I was reading her books, I realized that this is the kind of world I want to create. Lovely little puzzles with lots of fun, and everything that is solved in the end very nicely. And I felt, for me, this was what the teaching of life is, that no matter what happens, everything is going to end well. And I think it was so motivational. And somehow that genre literally stuck to me. And I knew this was what I wanted to do. And since then I've been trying to, write and challenge myself with different kinds of formats and stories, and from cozy mysteries to suspense noir to destination thrillers.
Right. So what themes generally do you explore in your writing?
Well, so of course, writing a mystery is a more systematic genre, I call it, because there's always you need to know your craft well. The journey for a mystery writer is always in a way, 50% decided, 50% you give it a little bit of freedom, but you need to know who's done it. So there's a who's done it in the end, who done it, and you need to know the who done it. And so for me, I need to know that, and from there onwards, I plan backwards. So the who done it has to be in my head all the time, and so I plan it well. But that can get boring, having the same kind of suspects and same kind of, red herrings, and then you solve it. So I like to handle different subgenres within the mystery genre. So like I said, I do cozy mysteries, I do, suspense, noir. I have also done futuristic adventures. I've done children books, and I've done now latest is my destination thrillers. And the theme, underlying theme, Sumit, no matter what I write, no matter how many murders can happen in the book, there is an underlying theme in my books, which I very much believe in, and that is love, peace, compassion, and coexistence and harmony. And so throughout all my plots, you will see, if you ever get a chance to read the books, you'll see that no matter what I'm writing, the underlying message is very clear: live peacefully, in harmony, and together.
Right. Interesting. And how do you approach the process of creating characters for your novels?
So for me, characters, I say this all the time, that characters literally come to me. They come in my dreams. They come, for example, Ray Parker from the Destination Thriller series. I remember very clearly that I was just, I was sitting once, and I went in a kind of trance, and I saw this person in a black jacket with a ponytail, silver rimmed glasses, standing with his back to me by a lake, and staring out at the mountains. And I knew that Ray Parker was being born. He was literally, I could see him. Or for example, Sonia Samar from my the Astro Detective series. She's from Pune, and she solves cases with the help of astrology. And I saw this character, this young modern Indian woman who, of course, read horoscopes, but who used to dance on music, loud music, before she solved the case. So she used a combination of Bollywood songs to dance, to kind of allow her free energies and the free flow of ideas within her. And I literally saw her do that. So that's how I see my characters, and I just build on those.
Right. And what role do you think culture play in terms of, storytelling, particularly in your genre?
Oh, lots. Everything plays. So my Destination Thriller series, is a very, in India at least, a very unique series, wherein the destination is a character. So my detective Ray Parker, he's a I won't call him a psychic, but he gets visions of a place, before he goes there, and he knows that place is in danger. Now, when this is the base of that series, it means that destination, the architecture, the monuments, the culture, all of it is very important, because they are a part of the clue. So Ray will go, and there's always a trail there. And the trail is embedded in these cultural elements of that town or the city or the country. So it plays a very important role, because if you remove that, there will be no Destination Thriller. It will just be any thriller. So for me, culture is extremely important in this series, and I love it. It's a fantastic process, I feel, because I get to visit different countries. So in the first book in the series, Ray goes to Salzburg, Austria. In the second book, he goes to Lund, Sweden. In the third book, he goes to Lake Starnberg, Germany. In the fourth book, he goes to North Portugal, which will now come out. And the fifth, I am now going to write. But the point is that this entire creative process is extremely exciting. The research is huge, but it's very satisfying. And putting all this together it's a challenge, and it gives me a great deal of satisfaction.
Right. Absolutely. And could you also talk about any specific challenges that you face while writing these books? Say, for example, the series.
Yeah, of course. The biggest challenge is, of course, going there. It's an expensive thing, to go to a country and to stay there for 15, 20 days. The whole thing is very expensive. But luckily for me, sometimes I find collaborators. Sometimes, like for example, for the Portuguese book that is coming out, the tourism of Portugal was very keen that I base a book there. And I was looking for somebody like that. So sometimes people step up and help me. Sometimes I invest in the series myself, but that really is the biggest challenge. The second challenge is these are not historical books. I go there and I study their history, but they're not historical books. I don't base these books in their history. What I do is I bring out a thread from their history into a contemporary plot. Now, this is a huge challenge because the characters in history, I believe, live in isolation in whatever they've done. The challenge
in certain era, right?
To bring them from that isolation and bring them here, which doesn't mean that I bring them physically. They don't come physically here and solve something. I have to connect them in some way to the current situation. And that is a big challenge, but of course, very satisfying when I actually strike gold.
Right. And what advice do you give to new writers in your genre?
In my genre, I would say, of course, read. That's the basic thing. I know every writer will say read lots before you actually attempt writing. But this writer has needs. There are certain needs of being a mystery writer. Every writer needs. There are certain, for example, romance writing has its own challenges and own ways of doing it, or sci-fi has a different thing, historical has different. But to be a mystery writer, I think, is a combination of all of it. I call it an all-encompassing genre because it has everything in it. Everything. Like you can give messages, you have to have the thrill element, you have to have emotions. It's like a commercial cinema, all packed in a nicely entertaining manner, but at the same time you can give in lots of messages. So when you're handling such a genre like this, which is like deep, and it needs you to be very smart, the writers who want to attempt mystery writing need to know that they have to be, to an extent, understand what being cunning means. Cunning in such a way that you kind of fool the reader all the time, till right in the end, a bit like a magician. You're like a magician, you give them, show them all kinds of stuff. Like you have a flower here, you have a hat, a rabbit coming out of a hat. You do all this thinking, now he knows the tricks and all that. But in the end, there's such a grand reveal that, it's like a big grand finale that even the reader has to be surprised. Now that is being cunning, because you need to know how to weave around reader's mind, psychology, play games with him, and then finally come to the grand reveal. Now this is a daunting task, and it will come with practice. I'm saying this right now because I've done 20 books, but honestly, it comes while you're writing, and you get to know your own craft, your own skills while you're doing it. So I would say practice till you perfect it. I think that's really it.
The element of surprise is really important, I guess.
It's very important because if you know who did it right in the beginning, the purpose of the book is lost.
Right. You pointed this out, but I'd like to ask you again on this: what is the importance of research in your writing process, particularly as you just said that crafting narrative set in historical or culturally rich context.
Yeah, the research is. It's there for every book. It's very important. But for my books, pertaining to my books, they're extremely important because I am taking you, especially for the destination thrillers, I'm taking you from your comfort zone into another zone, which is not yours, even mine, not mine. I'm an outsider too. But I have to write a book like an insider. It's not like an Indian woman or Indian writer trying to write a book based in Europe. That's not something I want. The book has to be so complete and authentic in itself, and that definitely requires research. So there are little things. Of course, the gross research is always there, the history, the culture, the food. But there are minute details. For example, if you want to know what is the situation like at 12 in the night from the police station in Salzburg to the cemetery, what is the distance, how many people would be on the street, what would the atmosphere be like, would the moon be shining, what is the cloudy situation, what's the month. So you have to really go down to the minutest detail to give that authentic experience, and for that research is important. Or for example, how does the light shine on the monuments, where does this thing come from at that time of the night, how many people are on the road, is it a festive season, or there's so many elements to consider when you're writing a book not based in your own country, because in your own country you take things for granted, things, you've grown up there, but when you go there, you go somewhere else, the task doubles in its importance. You're representing that country. And so for me, I think for any writer, research is the foundation of the whole book. no matter what you're writing. If the research proves wrong, your book can go off in a very different direction. So you have to be very careful with research and be very sincere to it.
कसैले मुस्कुराएर हेर्नुपर्छ, माया नै बसे जस्तो ठान्छौँ। कसैको पहिरन देख्न साथ यस्तो र उस्तो भन्न थाल्छौँ। विदेश भन्न साथ पैसाको बोट जस्तो, सस्तो पाउन साथ केही न केही खोट जस्तो। हामीलाई धारणा बनाउन त कसले पो रोक्छ र? यसै गरी हाम्रो बारेमा पनि यहाँहरूले केही धारणा बनाउँदै हुनुहुन्छ वा बनाइसक्नु भएको छ भने पनि कृपया पहिला हामी कहाँ आउनुहोस्, जहाँ छ अत्याधुनिक बैंकिङ, जहाँ छन् युवा जनशक्ति, जो आफैमा सबल र सफल बैंक हो र जसको पहुँच सुगमदेखि दुर्गमसम्म छ। त्यसपछि सेवा सुविधा बारे थाहा पाउनुहोस् अनि बल्ल धारणा बनाउनुहोस्। राष्ट्रिय वाणिज्य बैंक, तपाईको आफ्नै बैंक। आफ्नो भनेको आफ्नै हुन्छ।
Right. Manjiri, and was there any specific reasons why you choose, the mystery and suspense genre?
I just love it. I love it. You see, I think life is a big mystery. Okay, number one.
Right.
It is.
Right.
Every minute I feel that, I'm always waiting. Maybe it's just me, or maybe it's the mystery writer in me. But I feel that life is going to unfold some mysterious surprise every alternate day in my life. I'm very hopeful all the time. And and that anticipation and that excitement is really very thrilling. And it keeps me alive. It keeps me hopeful. And I want to, and the reason I like this genre is because I like to bring all this hopefulness, this excitement, into the genre. And as it is, there's so much happening in the world. I think I don't want to give too much reality. So honestly, even in my books, you will not find too much goriness or too explicit violence. You won't find all that, even if I'm writing about something that my descriptions are also mellowed down. What I'm trying to do is use the genre to give excitement to the readers, to give them some hope. Because like I said, it's motivational. No matter what happens in your life, everything is ultimately going to end well. That's the message in the mystery genre. It's motivational. And I want them to keep their brain cells active, to get involved in the novel, and try solving it along with me. And then, of course, the author's delight that they couldn't, so all this put together, it's a very exhilarating experience for me as an author, and I hope for the reader as well. So it's the best genre for me.
Right. And please tell us something about your widely acclaimed Cosmic Clues.
The Cosmic Clues? Why?
Yeah.
So like I mentioned, that the Cosmic Clues and Stellar Signs are about this detective called Sonia Samarth, who solves cases with the help of Vedic horoscopes. And when I wrote this was in 2004. There was no such thing. It's like a very original concept. And it came because my mother is an astrologer. And I'll tell you how the series, so she's a very renowned astrologer. I mean, she used to even look at Indira Gandhi's horoscope, and, she predicted Charles and Diana's divorce. I mean, she was very, she could really tell. So I remember she told me this before this series came about, that she used to, look at the horoscopes of some of the Bollywood directors. And she was in a party once when this director who kind of knew her said, I have a very urgent question. Can you answer it? And she knew his horoscope. She said, okay, tell me, what is it? So he said, I want to know when I'll have a son. And, she reflected on his horoscope and said, do you want to go somewhere private? Because I want to tell you something. So he said, no, these are all my friends. You can tell. She said, okay. She said, you already have a son. The only thing is you can't claim him as yours.
Wow.
And that was like a bombshell, and he was stunned. And then my mom told me this. I was stunned because instantly I saw that the horoscope is like an X-ray of a person. You may or may not believe in predictions, but it can definitely, tell you what kind of a person you are, whether you have criminal tendencies in you, whether you'll have a love marriage, whether there are certain things you can definitely tell. So I realized, but why have we not used this in solving crime? There's so many ways, and that is how I started thinking, and the series was born, where Sonia Samarth, after her deductions and all, and when she comes to a dead end, she uses the horoscopes to find the path to success. So that's how it came about. So Cosmic Clues. stellar sons.
And are there any other authors or books that have particularly influenced your writing style?
So most of my reading was done actually before I began writing, to be very honest, because I think in a way I probably subconsciously prepared myself for what I was going to embark on. That was a full-time writing journey, and I read voraciously. And like I said, Enid Blyton was a huge part of my growing years as a child. Then Agatha Christie, I call her my spirit mentor, because I didn't go to a creative writing school, or I didn't do a master's in creative writing. It was communication science. But it was through these books that I learned the craft of mystery writing. The layering of characters, how characters take the story forward. What is the grand finale? How does it all come together in the end? How do you lay tracks for story? So I kind of studied it. Every book of hers and every book of theirs was like a lesson. And that's why I call them my spirit mentors, because I don't have a real mentor. And then there's also Jane Austen. We studied that in school. Wilkie Collins is one of my favorite, who started the first detective novel, The Moonstone. But my most favorite detective, and I feel not detective writer, and who really influenced me, I feel, is Daphne du Maurier. I don't know if you've read My Cousin Rachel and Rebecca and Scapegoat, and, books that are... I feel they're masterpieces, and but this all happened before I actually set off on my own journey. And now I do occasionally pick up a book and I read and all that. But honestly, I'm so writing so much, and there's so much coming out of me that I don't really get this chance to sit down and really enjoy a book anymore. And I don't regret it, because I think I've done a lot of reading in my life. I do pick up an occasional book, and I think the last series I read voraciously was the Harry Potter series. Crazily, like I started and read all the books in one go. So but now I feel that I need to focus on writing, and I don't think there's anybody else who's really influenced me. I mean, I like to read and I like to enjoy, and I take it into my stride. But what has remained with me is all the reading I did in my initial growing years.
Right. And Manjiri, what do you think is the most, fulfilling thing about being a writer?
For any writer?
Yeah, for you.
For me, definitely seeing the book, seeing the physical copy of the book, to see your name on it. And biggest high, and I it's not the ego. It's not the ego of seeing your name. I look at it as... I sometimes feel I became a writer because two things. One, I love to play God, in my own world. And I know that I have control over what is happening and where. So in a way, I like to play God. And the second thing is that while I was growing up, I realized that I still remember all the childhood books I read, all the authors, like you said, who influenced me. And I'm still talking about the ones, I read initially. And the way a writer and the characters stay on in the memory of a reader, I think is extremely precious. I mean, it's unchallengeable. It's undoubtedly the biggest high. And for me, I think that would be my goal, to stay immortal. I look at it as immortality in a different way. I want to be immortal. And how will I be immortal? Being a mortal is by living into the memories of readers for generations, because memories pass on through DNA, so that's the immortality I'm seeking. So I think for me, these two are the biggest highs, seeing my name actually there, and knowing that I have now taken one more step towards immortality.
Right. And that's really a huge thing, immortality aspect. I really love that.
Yeah, and that's a writer's role. See, people look at writers as, writer. But no, writers are helping you, move ahead in life, and they are also getting immortal with every word they write. Whether it's an article, whether it's a book, whether it's a feature in a magazine, every step for them is immortality. Because 20 years down the line, 50 years down the line, 100 years down the line, everything that you've written at somewhere has been registered in the history of the earth.
True. And what do you see the future of the mystery and suspense genre in literature?
Oh, it's here to stay for sure. I mean, definitely in India, at least I know that when I began writing, there were hardly any writers writing mystery, mainstream fiction. This is like, as late as 2004, like about now it's 2004, 14, 20 years ago. Okay, now there are many people writing, mystery genre. As a matter of fact, every writer is now trying their hand at mystery writing, so which is great, more the merrier. If they if they feel that's their genre. So I feel it's a good genre to try if you want to challenge yourself and try doing something else. But ultimately, who's the ones who'll stay are the ones who really love the genre. So it's good to try and go on and move on. But I think it's a genre that's never going to die, for sure.
Right. And you also make films. Can you please tell us something about what kind of films you have made and how often do you make films?
So basically, I used to work in this place called Balchitravani, where we used to make television programs for school dropout children. So I've tried everything when I used to work there, including doing the first children's video cell animation film. It was called Chal Chalachal, the thing, invention of a wheel. And it was like literally done cell by cell, frame by frame. I shot it for a year, So it was literally the first of its kind in India. Of course, now it's digital. Everything is gone. You can do very fast. All that is there. But at that point, we used to do 3 programs, 20-minute programs for children. And I've tried all formats in that. When I took up full-time writing, I quit that job and I started freelance filmmaking. Then I used to make travel films. I still make a lot of travel films and, make series, 3-minute episodes and 20 episodes for, that kind of a stuff. So, and then along the way, my sister actually directed one of my books, which were not, one of my stories, which were not converted into a book. It was called Kuch Dil Ne Kaha. And it was, it was a film made for NFDC. And at that time, this was in the 80s, NFDC used to make all realistic cinema, very arty cinema. And it was the first time that they actually made a film, which was a kind of a mystery, psychological thriller. And it was a very different kind of a film. So that was my first foray into big, 35mm CinemaScope feature film. So I'm at it on and on. I still make short films and I make social ads and stuff like that. We did a lot of training programs also. But it's mostly travel films now. I love to do travel films.
Right.
Yes.
And your film, Kuch Dil Ne Kaha, is it available online to watch?
I think it was, I'll find out. It was there some years ago. I'll have to check. Maybe it's on the NFDC website also. I'll have to check.
It would be interesting to watch that movie.
Yes, it was like it's another participatory kind of a thing. Along the way, you wonder what's happened, in the story, and you keep guessing. And in the end, is a grand reveal. So it was interesting. Right?
Manjiri, perhaps my last question to you is, why do you feel there's a need to have a literary festival wherein you are completely engaged on that as well, that side of...
why do I feel the need to have a literary festival?
Yeah, for Pune.
Well, I feel, like I said before, that writers are, not just writers, creative people need platforms to connect with their audience. For a writer, they write in isolation for 6 months, 1 year, they work on it. Then the book takes a long time to come out, maybe 6 months, another year. The entire journey for the writer is pretty slow and excruciating, to be very honest. Find a publisher and all. And what is it at the end of it, I feel? At the end of it, books are being read, yes, and some will be reviewed and all that. But where is the reader and writer connect? And I felt that a Lit Fest is really the most perfect place to bring these two together, the artist and the receiver. And it's a platform where everybody comes together. My festival, PILF, which is the Pune International Literary Festival, is a free event. It used to be 3 days, but because of budget constraints, we've gone to 2 days now. But the essence is the same thing. It's a place of creative energy. It's a hub of creative energy where whoever attends it comes back feeling inspired with all the stories, with all the authors they meet, all the thinkers, and we celebrate creativity. It's not just books. It's creativity in all forms. But the focus is, of course, mostly books. But we also do we even have a children's stream. We have an exhibition on a celebrated author. And so lots of stuff is happening. The 2 days are jam-packed with lots of stuff for each. It's like a buffet, a creative buffet. And I feel that it's a very important space for creators to be in, because they can connect with their audience. They can network with each other, which normally... everyone works in isolation. So it brings all of this together. So I think it's important for the growth of the artist.
Right, right. On that note, Manjiri, I really would like to thank you for your time, and it was lovely talking with you.
Thank you so much, Sumit. Lovely being here.